Finally getting his turn with the Tuneup treatment, it is the event reward from the first run of the Digimon Collaboration back in April Fools of 2021. It is DGM02 Garuru Medal, REGRADED, with a kit of Hyper Missile, Freeze Shot, Missile, Multi-Legs, and the leg ability of Weapon Master, which converts a percentage of his legs' resist stats into power when attacking. Now, as the welfare model that was introduced in the first run of the Digimon Collaboration, Garuru Medal was a model that, even if you didn't catch Omega Knight or Grey Wars, everybody from that first run still walked away with as an event reward and participation. And even then, he was still remarkably solid for his time, despite falling off pretty hard once other collaborations started coming and going. But since he also got an all stat boost, much like the other two models as well, with a all specs spruce up, he already is ready to go before any tune-up bonuses do end up coming his way. Hyper Missile on the head part is a gunpowder skill that, contrary to the regular missile, which is an AoE type of attack, Hyper Missile instead packs piercing damage, which makes it a whole lot easier to break things than it is to deal collateral damage. So this is something that you'll be using pretty consistently more than anything else for your main damage, because that extra pierce will come in handy in a lot of different places more often than once. Freeze Shot on the right arm is a shooting skill that, upon successfully landing an attack on the target, will freeze the target to their core. Additionally, while frozen, the target will be frozen in place on the field, unable to move at any given capacity, but they also will have no dodge and no defense slapped on them, which means that the next hit, as long as they're attacked while still frozen, is not only guaranteed to land no matter what, but it's also guaranteed to be a critical hit on top of that, making it immensely painful for the next follow-up attack to come up behind Freeze Shot. Missile on the left arm is your traditional gunpowder-based skill that is a full AoE type of attack. That means it'll damage all parts of the enemy equally and spread the damage across them. The more active parts of the enemy that are still healthy and have HP, the less damage it ends up dealing, quote-unquote, overall. But if the enemy has, say, stealth or conceal effects, or if it's a shield that's intercepting the missile attack, it instead will all be funneled to the one attack that's actually attacking it. So something to bear in mind as well. Multi-legs means that Garuru Medal will have relatively solid coverage across most terrains pretty solidly well at the cost of some speed, and the leg ability of Weapon Master does pull into his overall kit pretty solidly, as it does mean that every time he goes to fire off an attack, he's going to be pulling from his already pretty solid shoot resist for some extra bonus power on top of that, making it just a little bit more painful overall. Now, when it comes to the tune-up treatment and the bonuses that Garuru Medal has access to him, overall, Garuru Medal is one of those models that really didn't need the tune-up bonus, but he can most certainly benefit from them all the same. Now, this is also excluding the all-stat bonus that he's getting anyway as part of a 2024 spruce-up, alongside that of Omega Knight and Grey Wars, but still very useful all the same when he is fully tuned. The head part has access to plus 100 to success, plus 100 to armor, plus 100 to heat and cool respectively, and a damage plus of an extra 50% damage bonus when piercing. Now, it kind of goes without saying that extra 50% is going to be the big go-to bonus on Garuru Medal's Hyper Missile, because that means every time you break something and carry over damage, you're going to get a little bit of a second wind, I'll call it, that will deal some extra damage when you break something. After that, you could honestly go for the extra power like I recommended here, so if you decide that you want to guarantee that you are more likely to break stuff consistently, you can do that. You could also go heat and cool instead if you want to progressively fire it off a little faster and recharge from it faster. You could go for success instead if you want the higher likelihood of crits, because gunpowder skills typically are sure hits once they are fully capped at rank 5. But aside from that damage bonus, you could go a lot of different ways, and I'll honestly leave it to your discretion how you choose to go about it. His right arm of Freeze Shot has the access of plus 200 to armor, plus 50 to heat or cool, and Freeze Shot gets an extra extended duration. Now, it's obvious there as well, the extra duration is very nice to have. Normally, when you freeze a target to their core on the field, it normally lasts no longer than about 1 or 2 ticks, if you choose to leave the enemy alone and just use it to buy yourself time. But this extended duration means that they're going to be sitting on the field much longer, encased as an icicle, before they end up thawing out. So if you want to take that time to, say, charge Metaforce, or take a breath, or kind of recoup your strategy a little bit if you're on the ropes, that extended duration is going to really come in handy. After that, I would recommend going for the armor personally, because the 50 to heat and cool really isn't all that noticeable, but much like with the head, I will leave that up to your discretion. Left arm, a basic missile, has access to plus 200 to armor, and then plus 100 to success or power. Now, much like it was with Free Shot, you honestly could go any direction with the basic missile, because it's not going to be anything you're going to be using consistently. Now, granted that we have Silent Leader in the game, this does mean that it will make it a lot easier for a Garuru battle to help flush out enemy leaders by damaging all the parts at once, which includes the head. But as far as Tuneups are concerned, you could go for the armor if you want to make him more resistant to breaking, or you can go for success for higher likelihood of crits, or even just base power if you choose to go that way as well. Honestly, it's a very versatile part. You could use it basically anywhere as like a filler piece, so don't really feel pressured to go one way or another, and just kind of go with your gut as far as what kind of bonuses to shoot for. His legs have access to plus 200 to armor, plus 200 to his shooting and melee resist respectively, a plus 50 to his mobility and S rank on mountainous terrain. Now, much like it was with the previous models of the first run of the Digimon Collaboration, with Omega Knight and Grey Wars, I absolutely have to advocate for the melee and the shoot resist bonus, because of Weapon Master. The higher those base numbers are for your resistance stats, the more powerful the bonus damage gets when you go to use an attack. And as a friendly reminder, that extra 13 to 14% of a higher number means a higher modifier and a higher bonus you get when actually using attacks. Honestly, plus 50 mobility is nice. Like, if you go for it, great, but don't feel pressured for it, because 50 really isn't going to be all that noticeable. So instead, you could honestly pull a lot of the extra bonuses towards, say, armor instead, to make him a little more resistant. And the terrain on S rank, it's nice to have, but not something you're going to be actively pushing for, because an extra 10% really isn't going to make or break you. All this being said though, comparing his original pure set and mixed parts scores from when I first graded Garuru Metal, I originally graded him a 7 out of 10 across the board for a pretty solid and well-rounded shooting-based kit. Weapon Master synergizes with his kit very nicely, obviously, so no matter what he uses, he's going to be getting bonus damage anyway. And between Hyper Missile, Missile, and Free Shot, he was a pretty solid welfare unit that anyone could use pretty easily. Now, comparing his new pure set and mixed parts scores post Tuneup and post all stat boost, I do have to rate him just a little bit higher at a 7.5 out of 10. Thankfully, Garuru Metal, even as a welfare model, is still a pretty synergetic and well-rounded model that you can use pretty easily. He doesn't require a lot of special building, no conditional party members, or anyone else to really come up behind him in order to finish a job. Ideally, even if you were to use Garuru Metal on a party by himself, which isn't recommended by the way, he can hold his own pretty solidly well with no real outside assistance necessary. So it's going to be a very solid model you really can't go wrong with raising or tuning up.